16 new community COVID-19 cases reported today, the highest in more than 9 months.
Wanted by the FBI, Singaporean Quek Kee Seng is confirmed to be here in Singapore and assisting in investigations.
And a fiery crash involving a van in Jurong Hill has left 4 people with burn injuries. This is the Straits Times Newsnight. I'm Dylan Ng.
Good evening, I'm Chow Su-an. Now, after months of near zero community cases in Singapore, the numbers shot up in a sudden spike today. 16 new community infections, the highest number since July 11th last year, when there were 24. That's the highest in more than 9 months.
8 of today's 16 cases are linked to the fully vaccinated nurse at Tock Seng Hospital, detected during proactive testing of patients and staff in the affected ward. 7 are family members of the ICA officer deployed at Changi Airport Terminal 1.
And in addition to the 16 in the community, 19 were imported and placed on stay-home notice upon arrival here. Now, at Tock Seng Hospital, visitors will not be allowed into its wards until further notice. The hospital taking what it says are necessary measures to contain the situation and protect patients and staff. Here's multimedia correspondent Yosem Jo with more on the situation at Tock Seng Hospital.
Now, since the discovery of COVID-19 cases at Tock Seng Hospital, visitors are no longer allowed here until further notice. Earlier today, however, visitors were still admitted, and we managed to speak to some of them who shared with us that access to Ward 9D is currently restricted even for hospital staff. Retiree Emily Lee, who came to visit her husband at around 11 a.m. and left at around 2 p.m, said she queued for some 45 minutes before being allowed to enter the hospital, compared to the usual 10 minutes. She put down the delay to counter staff having to explain the developing situation to those in line. I also spoke to Madam Ong, one of the Tock Seng Hospital patients who tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. Now, Madam Ong was admitted to Ward 9D last Tuesday for rheumatoid arthritis and developed a cough and fever on Sunday. She's currently in an isolation ward. Her fever has since subsided, but she still suffers from symptoms such as nausea and body aches. Earlier today, she also noticed that she could no longer taste her food. Now, despite this, Madam Ong seems more concerned about her family members who visited her and are currently quarantined, as well as the doctors and nurses that she was in close contact with at Tock Seng Hospital. She shared that as a patient there, she was allowed to take off her mask and is worried that the virus could have been passed on to the nurses who helped her to the toilet. Madam Ong would like to remind everyone not to let their guard down and to continue taking the necessary precautions. Yosem Jo for the Straits Times.
More now on what we know about the cases linked to Tock Seng Hospital. Case 62541 is a fully vaccinated nurse who was diagnosed with COVID-19 on Tuesday after coming down with a cough, body ache and sore throat. Following the detection, TTSH immediately locked down Ward 9D, the affected ward, and tested patients and staff there. And since then, another 8 patients and staff have been confirmed to be infected. All close contacts of the cases, including patients, visitors and staff who had been placed in Ward 9D, will be placed on quarantine.
And here's what we know about the 7 cases linked to case 62517, a 38-year-old Immigration and Checkpoints Authority officer deployed at Changi Airport Terminal 1. They are his family members who had already been placed on quarantine earlier, according to the Health Ministry. For more on the spike in local cases and the situation at Tock Seng Hospital as it develops, you'll find all the latest updates on straitstimes.com.
As the pandemic rages on, India continues to battle the world's worst second wave. With a healthcare system all but collapsing, so many families are in a desperate search for oxygen for their loved ones. Officially, the number of new cases climbed to a record of 379,000 in the last 24 hours, but observers say the figures are a vast underestimation. It comes as the US government has told its citizens to leave India as soon as possible, now that access to medical care is severely limited.
Now on to local news. A Singaporean wanted by the US Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, is confirmed to be here in Singapore. According to the FBI notice, Quek Kee Seng is wanted for conspiracy relating to the enabling of North Korea's nuclear proliferation programs. The 61-year-old quack, who is the director of a shipping agency here, is assisting in investigations by the Singapore police into possible offences under the United Nations Act. Responding to queries from the Straits Times, a police spokesman said Singapore will assist the US authorities. There is an extradition treaty between the US and Singapore, which may allow for Quek to be legally handed over to the US authorities.
A housewife who starved and tortured her Myanmar maid to death has changed lawyers and is making further moves to avoid life in prison. Gayatri Murugayan was due to be sentenced today, but it emerged during the hearing that she had changed lawyers last month. Her new lawyer confirmed that she was not retracting her guilty plea, but asked for time to file a further mitigation plea to support her case that her culpability was reduced. Footage has emerged of the aftermath of a fiery crash involving a van in Jurong Hill that left 4 people with burn injuries on Monday evening. Shin Min Daily News reported that a total of 7 people were in the van when it lost control and crashed into bushes before flipping over, with 4 taken to hospital. A 22-year-old man has been arrested for drink driving, and SCDF said the cause of the fire is under investigation.
Now let's take a look at what's been making waves on social media. And 2 women made history today. US Vice President Kamala Harris and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sharing a stage with President Joe Biden during an address to Congress. This marked the first time such powerful positions on the rostrum and on either side of the US President during the primetime speech were filled by women.
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, no president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time.
Now, it might have been Biden's first address to Congress, but I'd say this historic and symbolic image of 2 women flanking a US president definitely stole the show. And it has certainly made ripples online, as many have weighed in on social media to celebrate this milestone in representation and equality. One female senator who attended the event said, "I hope little girls everywhere will be watching and dreaming big."
Now, speaking of making history, Singapore's very own JJ Lin will soon be joining the big leagues. Joining other big names including Dolly Parton, Jonas Brothers, Harrison Ford, Jessica Alba and Wes Anderson, the Singaporean singer-songwriter has been signed by United Talent Agency, one of the biggest talent agencies in Hollywood. UTA will represent him in the United States and Europe, while his own company, JFJ Productions, will continue to represent him in other territories.
Now, most of us know about Apollo 11, the 1969 mission that saw Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walk on the moon. But what about the lesser-known Michael Collins?
He's the American astronaut who piloted the command module while his crewmates walked the moon. The 90-year-old has died after battling cancer and was hailed as a lifelong advocate of space exploration. He was selected to be an astronaut in 1963 after a career as a fighter pilot in the Air Force. Aldrin led the online tribute, writing on Twitter, "Wherever you have been or will be, you will always have the fire to carry us deftly to new heights and to the future. We will miss you."
Now, this is where it gets serious. Manchester City are closer to winning the Champions League than ever before. A superb display by the team, coming from behind to take control of their Champions League semi-final against Paris Saint-Germain.
Goals from Kevin De Bruyne and Riyad Mahrez mean City gained an away goals advantage ahead of the second leg next Wednesday after falling early to a Marquinhos header. There's more football action to come later tonight in the Europa League, with 2 matchups that are guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat. Manchester United take on Roma and Villarreal faces off against Arsenal at the same time. That's at 3 a.m. And sticking with football, you can watch Euro 2020 through Singtel and StarHub, who are partnering on-demand streaming service Live Now. Sign up by May 31st for an early bird pricing of $83 on Singtel and $84 on StarHub. Now, this is a slight drop from the $88 fans had to shell out in 2016. Now, before we go to the night safari, here's something to look out for.
Starting tonight, you will be able to spot a pair of dashing young Indian rhinoceros brothers, 7-year-old Thuli and 4-year-old Nawari. The duo will make their official public debut tonight in their brand new exhibit along the tram route. Visitors can also look out for them on the walking trail just a short distance from the park's East Lodge.
Hailing from a zoo in the United Arab Emirates, Thuli and Nawari are half-siblings. At 5,800 square meters, the new rhino facility is equivalent to 4.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools and comes with back-of-house features such as open yard spaces with mud pools for the rhinos to exercise and have some privacy.
And that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos.
You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.